What's up, guys? Dennis here. Hope you're doing well. Um, in today's video, I actually want to talk about what I believe is one of the most valuable skill sets that you can develop for yourself. And I say this a lot in my videos. I'm very, 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 very big on self-development, personal mastery. And the only way that you can do that effectively and develop yourself into becoming a better version of you and kind of getting the kinks out of your armor is by realizing your flaws, whether your specific flaws or just flaws that many people typically have. I want to start off by saying that we are all computers. We can be emotional creatures as human beings, maybe intrinsically, but we are all computers. We are programmable computers, right? And the thing with that is, you are either programming yourself, or someone else is programming you, or others are programming you, or you're receiving your programming from external sources. And that's going to happen naturally. And up until now, we've all been programmed based on our religious beliefs, our political beliefs, our cultures and traditions, the languages that we speak, the music we're into, the food we're into, how we dress, our preferences and things. All that stuff comes from just growing up in society and friends and family and just your own upbringing, right? And so we are all computers. And so I want to extend that by saying, if we're computers, right, that means we also have hard drives where we store information. And if we're storing information, it's critical that when it comes time to recall that information and utilize it in a situation, that the full amount of data and information we need is there, and that it's the information that's valuable, right, for that particular situation to serve you. And so, in our minds, we have folders of data that we call upon and reference when certain situations arise. And we're going to call on that data to tell us how to react in a situation. The problem with that is, if you don't know that you've been programmed, you think that you're making a free choice, but really what you're doing is unintentionally calling on that data and reacting the same way that you always have. Joe Dispenza says that by the time someone's 35 years old, all they are just a collection of habits and thought patterns and beliefs. They're no longer really utilizing any type of free will. They're just acting the same ways and believing the same things that they always have, right? And that's dangerous, because those patterns that you have, those underlying patterns and behaviors and thinking and reacting, make up your circumstances, right? And affect your health, and they affect your outcome and where you end up in life and all that stuff. So if you let those things fly under the radar and you never question them, and you don't even know that they're there, those are the things that are going to be the biggest hindering factors to yourself. That's how you self-sabotage without even knowing it. And that's why I love the topic. And so it is so important that you know what those things are, so that you can rewrite that program. You can rewrite it, right? Because all computers, they take input, they process it, and they spit out, right? And so you can reprogram yourself. If you understand that you believe the concept that you are a program, you're a computer, you are being programmed, then you know that you can also reprogram yourself. And I think that's what makes us human. The ability to understand our own program and rewrite the program, right? That's what I believe makes us different from any other species. And so I say that to say that one of the things that you can reprogram that I feel is the most valuable and super critical, and I think that if everyone did it, the world would be a better place. But even if no one else did it, you just did it, you would see the significance in it in your own life. And that's basically rewriting your emotional state, learning how to control your emotional state, right? I heard there was a video I watched years back, and I thought it was actually interesting, and I've never forgot it. But they said, how many people does it take in your day to ruin your day? How many people would it take? And typically, it's just one: a family member, a friend, a coworker, your boss, significant other. It only takes one person to throw your entire day off. And when you think about that, you realize how dangerous that is. Why should anyone have that amount of power? And they can only have that amount of power if you give it to them, right? But if you have the proper perspective on things and you can understand if this is something that's one of your flaws, right? Then you can overwrite that program. You can put a set of new data into that file, into that folder, right? And when it comes time to call upon it, you can call upon information that serves you rather than recalling the same old information that gets you the same old results, right? And it keeps you in a weak state. Being emotionally unstable is a weakness. That's a weakness. And it stems from not having that consciousness and awareness. And I said this in a video that I recorded a couple of days ago. There's a space between a situation that just arose or is about to arise and you know it's coming, and how you react and how you respond. There's a little space there that gives you a split second of time for you to stop and think about what you're about to say or do. How you're going to react to something. And I said in that video, there's a difference between reacting and responding. When you react, you're calling upon that old information and saying, boom, you don't even have to think about it. It's just, that's the way you're going to react. That's the way that you've always reacted, right? When you respond, that's when you've taken the time, either at the moment, in the moment, previous to rewrite that program and say, I know how I'm feeling. I know I've seen the situation before, but I'm going to decide to act this way. That's when you've taken your consciousness and awareness and put it to work for yourself. That's when you know that you've been able to have enough consciousness to see your own flaws and to rewrite the program and change how you react to certain things. You don't want to, I heard it put this way a couple days ago, you don't want to be the bitch of your own mind. In this case, you're the bitch of your own emotions, right? Because typically when you're emotional, you're not even thinking as clearly as you typically think. And so it's just dangerous to act the same way. And I realized I have a specific, I guess I call it behavior, right? And I'm always looking to see like what am I feeling right now? What am I thinking? Why am I doing this? And I'm questioning myself, and the way I'm thinking and reacting is the best way for a particular situation. And so I realized that when it came to like specific people that I was like close with, and I developed certain expectations around, that I expected certain things back, and when those things didn't happen or whatever the case may be, or if I felt disrespected or whatever, those things would set me off. And I had to realize that about myself. And see, and that's the beauty of it, because if you don't realize those things, you will go years and years and years in the same situation, acting the same way, and you're not creating any new experiences or outcomes. You're not in control of yourself. Before you could ever have control of yourself, you have to be in control of your emotions first. Right? That's a weakness. Anyone can be emotional, but it takes a strong, refined, developed person to not be emotional when emotion is a default behavior. We all have a set amount of default behaviors that we just fall into, and the thing is, the older that you get, the deeper you dig those trenches. That trench that you fall into easily gets deeper and deeper, and it's easier to fall into it. It's more difficult to get out because you've been doing it for so long. When you disallow those behaviors, or you shine a light on those behaviors that have been flying under the radar for so long that you've never even known were there, right? Then you can start changing how things happen for you. You can start changing situations in your life and creating new opportunities and new outcomes, new experiences. Because now you've taken control of yourself. You are now in control of the reins, rather than just playing the play button on a set of default behaviors that you fall into without even questioning it. And everyone has it about different things, right? There are beliefs that people have about relationships, about money, about politics, about tons of things in the world, right? And some of them are more important than others. And so that's why it's important to keep tabs on that and reflect on yourself to see, hey, dude, how have I been all these years, right? It's dangerous if you think a certain way about money that is false. And I love this analogy that I use in certain videos, but if you believe that 1 + 1 is 3, then all your math equations are going to be wrong. And so, more cases than not, the default behaviors that you have are going to be more of a disservice to you if you haven't taken the time to reflect and change them and be intentional about them. And that's why it's key to shine light on those things. Default behaviors keep you exactly where you are. Sometimes you don't move forward in life and progress because you're being the same person. You're trying to, Joe Dispenza says it this way, you're trying to create a new reality with the same personality. And you can't do that because you have to become a different person. You literally have to become someone else to create different outcomes. You can't create a new situation thinking the same way you thought when you created the problem. And so those are the things that I'm like super interested in picking up, right? And changing about myself. And so I realized that I had this little thing where I would be easily set off in very specific situations, right? And so that caused me to have to like reflect. The best thing you can do in situations is just look back on your life and look at how you've reacted. Try to pick up the things that you've done wrong specifically, that you're like, you know what, I probably shouldn't have done that, or it would have been better if I would have done this instead. Once you take account for those things and you reflect back on your experiences, then you can bring a new you to a new situation and create a new outcome. That's so important, and that applies across the board to any behavior that you have. You think back on it and just be real with yourself. That was kind of weak. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I messed up here. And then now you're aware of those things, and now you're less likely to do them again. And it might not be something you instantly change, but now you're aware of it. And then you get really good when you realize a situation is about to arise. You have triggers. Everyone has triggers that trigger those default behaviors. And so when you're in a situation that you know triggers you, you start feeling a certain type of way, you start thinking certain things, and you can start feeling yourself in a situation where you know you're about to be triggered into something, right? And then you can take the time in that split moment to respond rather than react. Controlling your emotions is where everything starts. You don't want to have or give the power to anyone specific to set you off. That is a weakness, right? It's set to you get set off easily, and it shows that you're an emotional person and you don't even have control over yourself. Someone that doesn't allow themselves to be easily emotionally manipulated is a strong person, regardless of what someone else says or is doing. You know, as long as it's not a significant situation where you're gonna have a physical altercation or something, right? But even then, and it almost becomes like a game, because if that's a situation, right, and you can dominate yourself in that situation, then it's usually easier from there. There's not going to be a whole bunch of situations where you have to dominate yourself emotionally, but it's key to know when you're about to be triggered so that you can be the boss of your emotions in that situation. You may know with anticipation you're about to get into situations that may trigger you, so you can say, let me just chill. And you almost have to change your perspective about it too, because it becomes easier when you change your perspective on things. When you think differently about something, the situation changes, and then it's less difficult for you to be triggered about something because you care less about it, right? It's not going to affect you as much, and that's something like, it's invaluable because you can apply that across your life. There are lots of things that are that easily influence you, or you hold too close emotionally, and you start releasing some of those strings, then more and more situations become less significant, so you care less about them, you're less stressed out or frustrated about them because you don't see them as big of a deal. That's so important. There are people, and I've heard it put this way, like, you can get 35 years in prison for something you did in 35 seconds, right? That's how extreme it can get. That's an extreme example, but it's a perfect example of when you don't control your emotions, you're not thinking logically, you screw yourself over. And then there are lots of situations that are not as extreme, but you're still screwing yourself over in your life, right? And so a big part of that is to take back your own emotions so that you're less triggered, the emotions are less up and down, and they're more stable and consistent throughout your life, right? There should be very few situations that really set you off where it's warranted and justified. And that's key, getting good at recognizing that moment in time between reacting and responding, and making a conscious and intentional decision to be and feel how you want to. One thing that I really like to touch on is concepts are very important, and the messaging is very important, and people are going to interpret things in a different way, and so you can try your best to communicate something. But what I like to try to do when I give messages and try to convey concepts is to make something practical, right? Because it's very easy to hear something back, oh, that's true. You don't know how to take it and integrate it and implement it in the moment when it matters, right? Sometimes you kind of need a technique or a strategy just to give you a little bit of just to help you with the awareness part, so that you can know when and how to do something, and then it'll make sense, and you'll have your own personal click to where you've gotten value out of the message. And so I like things that are also practical. You know what I'm saying probably makes sense, right? But how do you apply it? And so sometimes, like what I'll do every single morning, I do this every single morning, and I try to do it, like spend more time on it and give myself a larger time frame, although you don't have to take a long time to do it. And that's just to get your state right. There's a difference between having an emotion and being in a state. A state. You want the state, not the emotion. And so what am I talking about when I say the state? You want the state of being. And so if you want a state that's going to last you longer, because an emotion is up and down, right? A state lasts longer. And so what you really want to be good at is setting yourself in the emotional state and having the state of being that you want. Intentionally, you want to develop that skill. So what I do every single day, I know that sometimes when I go to work, I don't want to work, or I'm tired, or I might be in a negative mood, or I'm just not in the mood to deal with stuff or whatever. I try to get myself in an emotional state of being in the morning. So when I wake up, I might meditate, right? But then I also do this thing where, you know, it might just be you're playing music, right? Or you're watching videos that get you hyped up or that are funny or whatnot, and it changes your state to the point where, like, you're more fluid, you take things less seriously, and you're just in a better mood, and you can start right off, right? Sometimes that helps. But I like to just sit down and take a couple minutes and get myself in the right frame of mind before I start my day. Because here's the thing, your state is being determined already. The question is, are you doing it, or is it happening due to external factors by default? And so whatever you don't do intentionally happens by default, but it's just not going to happen the way you want to do it, or the way you want it to happen, because you're not in control of it. You may not even be aware of what's going on. And so you might wake up and you're just in this blah mood and you're neutral. You didn't establish your state until you go out into the world, and then you're annoyed by traffic and this person cuts you off, and then you instantly get pissed off. That's weakness, right? Because you didn't set your emotional state. You're allowing something so small to throw you off. Those are the things you need to check on yourself and reflect and see if you have those behaviors, right? You might go into work and someone might say a stupid thing through, you know, email or whatever, and you're like, I hate this place, and it throws your entire day off. Now you're all pissed off and you're screwed. And all it took was an email from somebody you weren't even talking to. It wasn't even something personal, right? Setting your emotional state is critical. I do this every day. I sit down before I get to work. I'll sit in the car and I get my state of being in my mind frame right. And I get positive, I get clear. I make sure that I know that no one's gonna throw me off that easily, right? And I get hyped, and I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do after work, because that's more important to me anyway, right? So you start planning ahead to say what are the things that you're working on that you know are gonna get you in a better situation, so that you know you have things to look forward to, and then you know you're more in control when you're doing that. But when all you do are things you don't want to do, that doesn't help you at all. But that intentional sitting down and getting yourself together, and I talk about this in other videos. I've heard it put this way: all a man's problems stem from his inability to sit alone in a quiet room. Practice that. Meditate. Learn about meditation. Meditation, a lot of it is overcoming yourself, and that's why I make these videos. It's all about self-mastery and overcoming yourself. Sit in a room and get yourself situated. Establish your emotional state by thinking about the things and feeling the way that you want to feel, and say, this is what I'm going to stay in the entire day. And you have a great day. And I realize that I'm talking about in 30 seconds or a minute or two. That doesn't even take me that long, right? And the better you get at it, the less you have to put into it to get there. And that's the goal. And I just go in, and no matter what I'm doing, I'm now, boom, I might go from a neutral, bland, kind of non-social state or whatever to like hype and generate energy out of thin air. And I'm just chilling. Like I just don't eat. And that's where you want to be, because it's intentional, right? That's the skill set that you want to have. No one can control your emotions. You can pick up and be aware of the triggers, right? And you can start rewriting that programming. That is key. And you can do this with all your default behaviors. You want to be good at picking up your default behaviors. Those are the ones that are most dangerous to you, because you don't analyze them, right? You're not thinking about them consciously. And I've said it before, the difference between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. Analyze the programming that's getting into your head. We are just a byproduct of thoughts and behaviors that have been written the same way over and over and over and over. And we have to rewrite that programming intentionally, so that you can be who you want to be and you can create the situations you want out of life. But it starts with you. And that's why I'm a big proponent on taking time out of your life to be alone, so you can get those situations in order, so that you can come to the plate a better person with more things to offer and put on the table. And then you can expect that from other people. And and it's all about the value that you bring to yourself and the world ultimately. And so that's why I do these videos. And I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to make this video too long. Maybe I'll do a part 2 if anything. But I hope you guys got something out of that. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. If you're watching this on my website, you can comment there. But I hope you guys got something out of that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.